Magos e bruxas, trouxas ou não mágicos, todos estão juntos no novo filme do universo de Harry Potter. Você deve estar se perguntando, por que eu tô vestido assim? Onde é que eu tô? Bom, a partir de agora você vai ver aqui na Warner os bastidores do novo filme de Animais Fantásticos. Sejam bem-vindos!
When I read the script for this one, I sort of had no idea really where Joe was going to take the story.
We doubled the creatures, the ensemble has grown, and we're adding characters that you'll recognize from the original Harry Potter series, which was really exciting.
Well, we've got a new location, so we're set, the last movie was set in America, and we're moving to Europe in the new film, and we've got a whole new set of characters and an expanding sense of J.K. Rowling's wizarding universe.
Urgence, un sorcier suivi, Newt Scamander, est entré dans le département de la magie.
Newt! Oh, that's your brother?
So I think I may have mentioned in my letters that we have quite a complicated relationship.
Newt, stop! Does he want to kill you? Frequently.
Enough!
The appeal of moving beyond the UK is twofold. Firstly, for the sheer sensory pleasure of looking at wizards in different cities, habitats. It's so visually interesting to mix up the architecture and the flora and fauna of different continents. So yes, there are definitely places that I would like to go. It's very freeing not to be stuck in a school.
O primeiro filme de Animais Fantásticos e Onde Habitam foi um sucesso de público, por isso os fãs estão ansiosos para essa sequência. A equipe de produção continua liderada por J.K. Rowling e David Yates, que dirigiu os últimos 4 filmes de Harry Potter e o primeiro dessa aventura.
I loved going back to Hogwarts. Of course I did. It looks very familiar to anyone who saw the Potter movies, but obviously the teaching staff are different.
Those names, the stories, the histories that sit in the back of our mind from the Potter series begin to weave their way into beasts.
I have some questions for you, Dumbledore.
E para dar vida às criaturas mágicas e maravilhosas desta sequência de Animais Fantásticos, foi preciso de uma equipe gigantesca de efeitos especiais. E é esta magia por detrás das câmeras que você vai ver agora.
Paris is already such an astoundingly beautiful and intoxicating city, but I think it's going to add that other element of magic to it.
In the 20s, it had to be Paris. Of course it had to be Paris. And Paris genuinely was, at that time, in reality, a place where you had a far more bohemian society. So you had people of very varying backgrounds going into Paris and living this more bohemian life. The artistic community was far more diverse in every sense than you would have met in certain other cities in the 1920s. So it felt perfect.
A safe house in Paris.
Why would I need a safe house in Paris?
Should things at some point go terribly wrong, it's good to have a place to go.
First of all, I was very excited that we were going to Paris. It's obviously exciting because it's Paris in the 20s, which is ideal.
So we're in Paris in 1927, and some of the cool things we've got a magical circus. Never been to a magical circus before in these movies or stories.
I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say, but there may be there may be a circus.
So how do you start creating something big and incredible like that, like the old Paris?
A great deal of research is done with a professional full-time researcher. That literally is the first thing we do, is to start to accumulate a lot of pictures of Paris in 1927. This is set, and we visit Paris, consider shooting on location there. In the end, deciding that it's too difficult really to change the look of modern streets sufficiently. So the practical solution is to build it and
create something new.
And create something new, exactly, yeah.
And we go to the French Ministry of Magic, which is unique.
Lestrange.
Records moved to Lestrange's family tomb at Père Lachaise.
The most significant magical set is the Ministry of Magic, which I think you've seen.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And
so nice.
On Joe Rolling's instruction, it's Art Nouveau in style. So that was a great adventure in a new look, really, in a new design discipline.
What was the most challenging one? Create this ministry?
Was that the most? It's the most challenging set on this movie, certainly. Yeah.
Hello, Newt.
Hello, Lisa.
What is a prop? Because you are the prop maker, right?
That's right. So every film you see, there's a department in the process of making called the art department, and they are responsible basically for everything in front of camera. There's not an actor or a costume or a visual or physical effect. With a series of films like this, then there's this magical part of it. So there's a lot more design and concept and making involved.
You can see that we have the wands right there.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
How many wands, for example, do you guys do for a movie like that? Like,
well, it can be, yeah. I mean, the wands obviously there's character wands. So there's wands that would, any magical character will have a wand.
Which character are we? Like?
So we're looking at we've got some new characters here. We've got Theseus, we've got Bunty, we have Queenie, obviously from she was from the previous film, and Tina, and Theseus, beg your pardon, who's Newt's brother. He's an aura.
The
and then we have
one is very beautiful.
The Queen is lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's I love it. It's a lovely piece of period design.
Eu acho que é um pouco estranho, mas é assim mesmo. A calça é um pouco mais comprida, aqui é um pouco mais curto, tudo bem justinho. Então tamo pronto. Vamos?
Look at these shoes, man.
This fancy.
This matches this.
How crazy is that,
Look
right?
what Colleen did there.
Colleen, please tell me how a movie like that begins, how your work begins in a movie like that.
On a movie like this, the first step is the screenplay. It sets the mood and the characters for the film. And then I start sort of a four-pronged process. I start the research, fabric shopping, looking for clothes for background artists.
A lot of ones?
Yeah, like thousands.
Around the world?
Around the world. The clothes for this movie are from Italy, America, the UK, Germany, and France.
And this one is the original one for the time?
This is an original. It's an American suit from the U.S. And it's definitely from the time period. The buttons have been replaced. A few things have happened to it on its long journey, but it's the real deal, and it's a beautiful piece of material.
E é isso, acho que estamos prontos agora para o set de Animais Fantásticos.
The wizarding and non-wizarding worlds have been at peace for over a century. Grindelwald wants to see that peace destroyed.
You want me to hunt him down?
Unfortunately, at the beginning of this film, all those four protagonists have been sort of split up around the world. And so part of the film is them rejoining.
Queenie is determined to get the band back together, so she grabs me, takes me to find.
When they are those four together, when they're a gang, they can kind of do anything.
I really think through the last film, one of the great things was he learnt, he managed to find friendship.
You don't suffer from motion sickness, do you? I don't do well on boats. You'll be fine.
I love this Dumbledore-Newt relationship because it's kind of that odd thing, when you have a teacher you really admire, and then you leave school, and then you sort of keep in touch with them, and do you call them by their first name, or do you call them by their surname?
An address. What's that? A safe house in Paris. Why would I need a safe house in Paris? Should things at some point go terribly wrong, it's good to have a place to go, you know, for a cup of tea.
I got a call early on saying that they were looking to cast a young Dumbledore, and I got involved in the process that required, and it was a very good day when I got the phone call saying that they wanted me to play him, and it still tickles me pink. I think with Newt, he knows he's dealing with someone who has a very strong moral compass, and who will ultimately make morally the right decision, who is also brave, who is also courageous and motivated.
Do you know why I admire you, Newt? You do not seek power. You simply ask, is the thing right?
Having the opportunity to go back and see what made the man that we all loved become who he was is a really rare and a really extraordinary experience.
The Dumbledore we meet here is clever, is gifted, and he's very mysterious. No one really understands why this man is a school teacher. You know, he appeared to be born to be the preeminent wizard in the world. He appeared to be born to become the head of the International Confederation, to have to embrace a role that would make him part of wizarding history. And he disappeared to this school in Scotland and stayed there. Why?
He has an ability just to sort of lead them into doing that, because he also knows it's the right thing to be doing, and he can't do it himself. I don't think he uses them ever, because I really believe if it were different, and indeed maybe when it is different, he will take on the challenge himself, but at the moment he can't.
Why can't you go?
I cannot move against Grindelwald. It has to be you. Well, I can't blame you. In your shoes, I'd probably refuse to.
What?
It's late. Good evening, Newt.
Wait, no. Oh, come on. Dumbledore.
When I met Jude, we had this very intense meeting, just the two of us, where I basically told him everything about Dumbledore that I've ever known, but not told anyone else, literally. I've never told anyone some of the things I told Jude. And he took notes and asked questions.
She gave me hours of her time and filled me in on Dumbledore past and Dumbledore future, and really gave me a sense of where she saw him sitting in this universe that she's created. And for an actor preparing, that was an incredible opportunity to construct someone, not just where they've come from, but what happens to them, and therefore where it sits in this given moment. It was really wonderful. The children in that scene were so thrilled to be there, and David constructed the whole scene and the whole shooting of that scene, so it really felt like a class. So there they were, wide-eyed, thrilled to be, you know, in this familiar surrounding, the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom.
Dumbledore, why can't you go?
I cannot move against Grindelwald. It has to be you.
I mean, at the beginning of this film, Newt has written his book. He's become a celebrity in the UK, which isn't a natural fit for Newt, and so he's sort of struggling with that a bit, and he's desperate to go back basically to New York and to find Tina.
Mm-hmm.
But through a load of sort of mismessaging and unfortunate events, that's proving a struggle. And so actually Tina and Newt's relationship at the top of the film is a bit it's a bit tense.
He needs to control his temper.
Well, the interesting thing about that film is that it was only
it was told over the course of only a few days. So of course, Jacob and Queenie, who are a little more in touch with their emotions, fall for each other quite quickly. But Newt and Tina have sort of a different journey.
It's a love story, and it's full of these couplets, these couples who wind, and their relationships wind their way through this sort of the bigger plot, if you like. And it's a celebration, and it's a sort of examination of falling in love.
I think that might have been the best moment of my life.
We go to a fantastic character called Leta Lestrange, who's played by Zoe Kravitz, and she used to be Newt Scamander's love, and now is this sort of very mixed up, quite conflicted, intriguing, beautiful ex-lover of Newt Scamander.
Hello, Newt.
Hello, Leta.
I love their relationship because it's their oddness that brings them together. You know, I think, you know, Newt is such a compassionate person who loves beasts. He loves creatures. He loves the things that no one else will love. And Leta is that in a lot of ways. So I think he sees this kind of beast, or as Leta would say, a monster in her, and loves that about her.
The Credence-Nagini relationship is a really special and interesting one. You know, it's complicated. There's real love there coming from two people who are both struggling in similar ways as being unusual or different, as carrying these otherworldly aspects of themselves that remove them from society.
The great thing about this world and these characters is they always offer something new and dynamic and different to do.
You never know what's going to be around a corner.
My brothers, my sisters, it is said that I hate les noms magiques. I do not hate them. I do not. For I do not fight out of hatred. Magic blooms only in rare soul.
Grindelwald inspires an almost cult-like devotion in his followers. And it's very easy as an outsider to look at that and say bad. We have a tendency to simplify. If we look at what he's saying and analyze it, it does fall apart. However, if you're not paying a lot of attention to the substance and the inherent contradictions in what he's saying, it sounds very seductive, very plausible, and it can persuade people that you or I might consider good people.
Join me, or die.
And I found it the most gripping, page-turning, intriguing thriller. It has this element, like the plot is so intricate, and the characters that you've seen from the last film are woven into the fabric of the Harry Potter lore.
In contrast to the first movie, which was a relatively straightforward narrative, although a lot was hidden, this is a complex story. So that was simultaneously very challenging to write and enormously satisfying to write.
There is action, it does have, I think, a darker tone than the last one, but then you've got Dan Fogler playing Jacob and just being genius and lightening everything up for us. So.
Yeah, they drag me along on the adventure, man. Yeah. They must like me for some reason.
You don't suffer from motion sickness, do you?
I don't do well on boats.
You'll be fine.
We've got some new creatures coming, which I've loved working on, but the old favourites are back.
Yes, we did have many problems with those creatures, didn't they?
Yeah.
Ran all over the place.
What about now?
Yes, the same thing happens.
it just continues to be this opportunity for such majestic spectacle as we get to meet more creatures, we get to witness more magic, we get to indulge in this world of fantasy that takes us out of our own world in a way we need so much.
Magnificent movie. Huh?
Um grande elenco, J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter e um monte de segredos e criaturas fabulosas esperam por você no cinema. Então corre para assistir essa estreia. Eu sou o Federico Devito e você assistiu aos bastidores de Animais Fantásticos aqui na Warner.